Hello gamers, welcome to Gamers Galaxie episode 25. My name is WT. We are here today with a special guest, Graslo from Uldor, a war-torn world where ancient allegiances and modern ambitions collide amidst a backdrop of rising conflict. Rubick, I'm excited to talk to this guest today. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Hanging in there. Lots of snow for me to shovel today. Coming off of midnight, just kind of getting in the groove and ready to dial in for this awesome podcast that we're about to do.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
So we have with us today Graslo. He's from the upcoming game Uldor. Graslo, how you doing today?
Hey guys, I'm doing fantastic. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, you know, we're going to jump right into this. What can you tell us about yourself and this upcoming game, Uldor?
Yeah, so there's a lot to say, but I'll just quickly say, so I have been in game development for a while. Started at Mythic Entertainment, working on some of their early games and had a small part in Dark Age of Camelot. Since then, started my own company, did full stack development, digital marketing, kind of a jack of all trades. And when I got into Web3, I kind of was into crypto for years as more of a hobby, and taught some classes to business owners about like blockchain and just what they should be aware of. But really got into it when a friend of mine started a Web3 company doing digital art, and I did marketing for him, and that exposed me to like what was happening with NFTs, PFP projects, generative art, and I immediately saw that these communities were cool and all, and being able to value digital art was a really cool, interesting thing. But this was all new, and we didn't have a way to know that this was going to be sustainable. Whereas like games, we know that this market exists. Like digital items have been around in games for years, and we spend billions of dollars a year for game items. And so I saw it as just an amazing opportunity to start my own gaming studio, something I've been wanting to do for decades. I started pulling together dev contacts that, I've had friends of mine from different studios, Ubisoft, SCS, a number of others. And that's when we started Max Level Studios building Uldor.
Awesome. I caught something you said there. Dark Ages of Camelot. The audience might not know, but I mentioned EverQuest in our pre-chat before, and you went really quiet all of a sudden. Is that because EverQuest was the enemy of Dark Ages of Camelot?
Well, to be honest, like I'm an MMO junkie. I've played pretty much every MMO, especially all the classics.
EverQuest?
Yeah, I played EverQuest.
Wow.
I spent most of my time in World of Warcraft. Like that. I mean, even though I loved Dark Age of Camelot, it was like a predecessor to WoW. And when WoW came out, it was just like game changing, and that took years of my life.
Yeah, I just remember that Dark Ages of Camelot came out about the same time, a bit after EverQuest, I believe. And they were the two biggest ones, I'd say, biggest MMOs of the time, when it was still I'm giving away my age here a bit, but when it was in the phase of growing. Planes of Power in EverQuest was the best game expansion, best game ever, in my opinion. It created like this, this hierarchy of achievement that took years to conquer. And then World of Warcraft came out and said, hey, hit this treasure chest until you become World of Clones and everyone gets the same items. So yeah, people used to come up to me and inspect my gear and go, wow, I can't believe what you've got. I was a top 20 shaman in the world. It was just so rewarding playing that game. And I just remember Dark Ages of Camelot was a real competitor, and it was the number 2 game, I believe, or maybe number 1. I think it was number 2 behind EverQuest. Just
it was such an interesting time for MMOs. The graphics were getting better, but there were so many like problems. Like the world in DAOC was instanced, so like you would run so far, and then all of a sudden you've got this giant wall that you hit, and then you have a loading screen, and WoW kind of like changed the game there. But gear, like, it was totally different then. But in DAOC, mounts were like set paths, so you didn't have like free mounts where you could just ride around the world. You had these like paths to go with travel. But yeah, we've come such a long way. But I feel like that people that played MMOs back then, there's some core things that were kind of left behind, and I feel like everyone, all the MMOs seem kind of copy paste to me today. Like that may be a hot take, but I kind of feel like as an MMO junkie that we lost some things from some of those early MMOs.
So we wanted to ask you about the inspiration for Uldor. I can assume it's been a long way of pretty much all the games you've played as an MMO junkie from way back at Dark Ages of Camelot and EverQuest days. Is that right? And
yeah,
you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I draw inspiration from so many games, and of course, every time I bring a dev on the team, like a lot of that interview is more about like, okay, what games have you played? What do you like about those games? We want really passionate gamers to be on our team, and that really expands like what our inspiration is. But I'll say, like, at the core, we draw inspiration from Souls-like games. And that may sound like a twist from what I just said about early MMOs, because the whole Dark Souls franchise and more recently like Elden Ring and Lies of P and games like that just have such a unique kind of style, and they don't have the constant kind of rewarding mechanisms that you experience from like MMOs. But I think that to me really speaks to where the direction went kind of wrong with MMOs. Like, now it's, and that's just gaming in general. Like, it's the easy dopamine, it's basically everything's a casino. There's flashing lights and lots of like, sounds to trigger those dopamine hits of, like you're constantly being rewarded with something. But I think there's diminishing returns there. And you end up with gamers that aren't sticky to your game because they can easily get those same effects and hits from any game because they're all the same in that respect. Whereas when they play a game like, a Souls-like game, you feel punished in a way. It's like it's very punishing, and like some of those early MMOs, before they added all of the progression systems and before they added all the ease of movement, just a lot of the just super easy things that were really good initially. I think over time we've seen the downside of that, which is the easy rewards make you feel like you're not accomplishing anything. You're not being challenged. Anyone can do what you just did. You're not the best in the game. There's no way to tell that you found something really rare or did something really achievable, because anyone can do it. And everything's grindable and things like that. So yeah, but we draw inspiration from Souls-like games for like combat and just that feeling of accomplishment with not necessarily intentionally punishing players, but making things that are challenging, that you actually have to pay attention. It's not a casual game, but then also like classic MMOs like Dark Age of Camelot for the realm versus realm combat. WoW for social play and economy, and of course all the RuneScape and Elder Scrolls and pretty much every MMO I've played. And just so you know, like, because a lot of people, when they hear that, oh, you started a gaming studio in 2021 and this is your first game for your studio, it's like you're just here for like to capture the Web3 liquidity or whatever. Well, I'm a real gamer at heart and a passionate developer. I actually purchased Uldor.com in 2011. This has been a project that it's been on my mind in one way or another for quite a while, and I've been years working on mechanics and the what would differentiate this MMO and make it really long lasting, to really build lasting IP, and I think that this is just a really unique opportunity, because building an MMO is hard, and it's something that we've spent a long time thinking about.
That's an amazing breakdown that you just gave there. There was so much there to unpack. I like how you gave the history of where you've come from, all the way back from 2011. You guys are on Unreal Engine 5, and from what I can see, you guys are both tackling the PvE and PvP aspect of gaming via arenas for potentially the PvP and the PvE right now, but it looks like you got some other game modes coming out also, and you're really tying into that MMO RPG aspect, it looks like, which, you know, it's very challenging. I've seen the leaderboard dynamic that you have where you're fighting in an arena gladiator style against a PvE onslaught, and it looks really amazing. It's great right now due to the low lack of volume in the space, but I know you guys got more planned. Can you explain the core loops that you have available right now and what you have planned coming?
Yeah, absolutely. So the playable game now is called the Dread Arena, and we designed it as really kind of a demo mode. It's a way for us to get our combat out there, to get players, you know, to be able to test and play and experience the Souls-like movement and combat with our style and like you said, UE5 and the kind of like vibe overall that we're going for. But this is just the very first game loop, and it was a easy game loop for us to release. It was something that was replayable, and we made competitive with tournaments. So you can go play, even though it's single player. You can participate in a tournament, get on a leaderboard. You know, we do some prizes and things like that. But the next game mode is our PvP, which is we're taking our same, you know, fighting mechanics, but really honing in that class system where you start to customize your play style, start to specialize your character in your, you know, character's fighting mechanics. That's going to give much more replayability to the game, but it's also going to be our first commercial release. So like everything we've done so far has been with zero marketing dollars. It's all been organic. It's really just been, you know, using our community as a test bed and building relationships with creators and others in the space who are, you know, early adopters, and they're testing these early games. Because like you said, this is it's kind of a low bar right now. Like there's not a lot of great Web3 games out there to play. And so it's, you know, if you can make a decent game, you can get a lot of attention and and get a lot of people playing your game, get great feedback, testing. It's not always going to be like this, though. I think a lot of great games are going to be releasing, you know, alphas and betas this year that are going to be really good. And we hope that that our PvP, which we anticipate to come in March, we hope that it's going to be at the level to where if a Web 2 player, you know, who's never heard of Web 3, if they go from playing, you know, WoW or Dark Souls or, you know, the finals, you know, that they jump into our game and they go, okay, this is a good game, you know, this is fun, you know, and if it's their style, then they're going to stick around and they're going to be playing it. And they're not going to come for the blockchain aspects, you know, even though we think that's very important for us. We've been really focused on making a great game.
What does the open world look like for you? And I know this is down the road, but that's the one that really caught my eyes. Like, how's that open world going to look for you guys?
Yeah, and because when you tell someone you're working on an MMO, they kind of and rightfully so, they're skeptical, you know, especially people that are developers, people that know the business, because MMOs are expensive and they're time consuming. So we had a plan that we you know, something I've been working on for years, but we really honed this in before we started the company and really started moving forward. It's how are we going to build this better and smarter than other MMOs? So for one, like, we think our phased development, it allows us to go to market faster, so that PvP mode, we're going to be able to start building a real player base, lighting a fire to our community, and being able to generate revenue as we start to build the open world and really tease that out. And so we've done a little bit of this on a very small scale, where we have this Dread Arena where our community can play now. And then we've shown off some open world mechanics like harvesting resources, riding a mount through the open world, you know, facing off against open world bosses. And what we're seeing from, you know, these small tests, and also like from our thesis, this is going to act as a real carrot to the community to keep them engaged. If you're a player who, and I would say this describes a large percentage of MMO players, you love the idea of an MMO, but you know that a new MMO is a huge investment of time, of the dedication. You've got to learn how to play it. You know that most of the early game is grinding. You're spending hours killing a boar or a deer, and it's like you're really working towards that end game of we're going to get to the epic loot, the epic gear, the fun bosses. But we kind of turn that model upside down, and we say we're actually going to give you like the fun replayable PvP experience first. Then we're going to take you into the open world for open world PvP, which is faction based. You're fighting over territory. You're building up fortifications, and then you can craft siege weapons to go and attack enemy fortifications. So it's this real social game, totally unstructured. It allows for players to kind of shape the world, and owning territory unlocks some in-game dungeons. So some of our early dungeons, also some unique content like special shops that sell unique items. So that'll introduce that whole other play and give you a taste of the open world, which starts to draw in more MMO players and not just like players that are there for the competitive aspects. But then we expand to the full open world, and that basically opens up like the questing, of course the cities of our factions, the full crafting system, all the PvE content, so open world bosses, dungeons, all of that, like large immersion. But the goal is, instead of doing what traditional MMOs do, which is rush players through the open world to get to the end game where everyone is stuck on the same replayable content, we want you to start with the replayable content and then join the open world at your own pace. Take your time exploring every inch of the world, really find adventures with yourself or your friends. We want it to feel more like an Elden Ring or a Skyrim, where Skyrim's like 10 years old and you can still jump into it to this day and find new things and really enjoy the world. We think MMOs have kind of they've lost touch with the RPG aspect and the immersion of the open world.
Right.
Where are you up to with development wise? Like, an MMO takes a long time and traditionally to make. With Unreal Engine 5 that might have been brought down a bit, but where are you up to in terms? You said we're going to start the open world. Is that open world been worked on yet, or is that still to be start working on?
Yeah, so we have been working on all the modes in conjunction, mainly to be able to like really scope out the time frame of everything, to know that we're making like to see those challenges coming far in advance. And we have several open world environments. We've connected some of those together. We've done some mount testing. We did some of this like in our Discord community where we showed this off. And we have a Twitch channel. We're going to get more structured with that and start showing regular dev updates where we tease out like some future game mechanics and start to get community feedback in a real structured way. But yeah, so we've been making progress there. We've got like harvesting resources, the procedural generation of the open world. That's another thing that we've spent a lot of time on that is going to be a massive time saver down the road. UE5 makes procedural generation extremely powerful. You can make large realistic environments and biomes and connect them together in a very intelligent way to where it just feels natural. It looks like an artist like hand placed all the trees and rocks and foliage and everything, but it's procedurally done. It's all a rule set that you've spent a long time like honing and perfecting. So yeah, we've been making great progress there. We don't anticipate like the real challenge is going to be all the unique 3D assets. We've used some placeholders because that's time consuming and expensive to source all of the 3D assets for each like building and props and the characters, and then the content of like questing and things like that. So we're still working out the scope of those things and but we're on a good time pace here. Like we think we should have the MMO out next year, and that's a really fast pace considering MMO timelines typically. But we did get started in 2021, and we have been working on all those elements. But we feel really good about our timetable.
I seen your LinkedIn with the Max Level Studios. How many devs do you guys got working right now? That pace you got set, man. That's crazy. Like to get that much done that fast. How many devs you guys got right now?
So that's a great question. I'll say that we've got some things going on behind the scenes where we're actually ramping up a bit now. We for a while we had 4 UE5 devs, which is a small team, but they're very capable. We also have a couple full stack devs, which in an MMO become extremely important. When you talk about an MMO to be able to be scalable, those full stack devs become almost as important as the game devs, because you need those the chat system, the player authentication, the world state, all the items, like all of those things are governed, to make it scalable. You take all that out of the game engine and you stick that into microservices that you custom build. And so, we've got all that talent working as well. But yeah, we are currently ramping up now. And I'll just say, like, the other part of the team that never gets a lot of appreciation are the 3D guys, which we've got some super talented 3D artists, but that's something we're ramping up as well.
Right. They call it a team for a reason. I mean, there's a lot of pieces that go into it. I was just curious, like when you said that you're going to be coming out in the next year with the MMO, I was like, oh my gosh, how many people do they take on? That's why that kind of question popped up in my head. Rubick, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, the Unreal Engine 5 has really reduced the amount of time it takes to build an MMO for sure. So you don't need the 300 devs like you needed in the past, but it does, and also the number of devs don't always make, one team of 10 can do, of super talented people will do more than a team of 20 good devs, so
right.
It depends on how you got your team, how you're working and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, okay. In terms of the progress of the are you happy with where you've got to so far? Is there enough runway to get the game done? Like, is there any concerns there?
Yeah, so we're very happy with where we are today. I'm glad that we focused early on with actually, building and shipping and not just trying to, I think a lot of projects, I've seen so many games, start out with a good idea. They pitched, they built a community, maybe they sold some assets, and then they kind of fizzled out because they spent all the money that they raised trying to keep the momentum and the hype. And we really didn't focus on hype like that. And, there's different ways to do this. And some, if you can pull it off and you can use the hype to raise, tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, then sure, that's going to sustain you a long time. But so many chase that and just fizzled out. They weren't able to sustain themselves. So we have this foundation where, we can go to investors and to our community with actual product, like an actual game that they can play, and future gameplay that we can show off. And so I feel like we have something tangible. But yeah, we have a lot of interest from investors and others that, potential partners that we're talking to now, but we feel really good about where we are.
Okay.
You mentioned a while ago about blockchain and being very, very important in the mix of what you got going on here. We've talked a lot about game development and got some really good information from you. I appreciate that. So with that being said, where's Uldor right now with the blockchain integration aspect of all this?
Yeah, so we have focused more on the gameplay side. We have not minted game assets on anywhere yet. So we've really focused more on like building a good combat system, getting the gameplay in a good state. We are going to be releasing this PvP in March, and we're going to have our game assets, so like player cosmetics and weapons and things like that. Those are going to be on chain, so we will be minting those soon. But as of yet, we just have a Genesis collection on Ethereum mainnet, and then we also have a pet that we minted on Polygon early on. So that's about where we are with our blockchain integration. We haven't integrated it into our current playable game, but like the pet, we have the pet like integrated in the game, but we just haven't connected like wallets yet. But that's going to be a really easy thing for us to do. We've done some like testing of that. It's just we don't want to break that. Like we don't want to create unnecessary friction. And even though like most of our players are early adopters and they would be able to do it no problem, we just want to make sure we have very smooth integration, so that when we do this March activation, that we don't have any hiccups or like a lot of people jumping into Discord and needing support for something because we had a technical layer that they didn't understand.
So what's the plan for Uldor's blockchain use in the long term? Like in terms of how are we going to integrate blockchain? Is that decided yet on how blockchain is going to be used in Uldor, or is that still up in the air? And if it is decided, what is it?
Yeah. So, and this is something where we definitely have our plan, and I'll tell you, like initially for the PvP mode, we're going to be minting our player cosmetics, so the outfits and armors and the weapon variants. They're going to be NFTs that players can own in their wallet. They can trade them on a marketplace. They may have other utility, but these are something where we allow players to have this player economy, and have the on-chain transparency, the provable scarcity, things that we think are really important. Now, long term for the MMO, we have a lot more plans, but we want to be careful about putting all that out there, just because, and to be totally honest, we are watching what's working and what's not working. We have the fortune of seeing a lot of projects try different things, and get to see what lands and what doesn't. We get to see ideas tested, and that's part of the reason why we did our development the way we did, because the blockchain integration for our PvP arena is so simple to us. Like this is obvious. Now for the MMO, it's a lot more complex. There's so much we're going to do with resources, because we have resource plot NFTs planned, where you have resources that you harvest and gather, and you use that for crafting. So there's so much more. You can always already start to see like all the pieces of that. But we want to be careful to not, put all of that out until we're, really close to releasing it.
Awesome. Uldor, it was announced quite a while ago that you guys are going to be building on Immutable. We've talked to a lot of games in the last several months that have done multi-chain or stayed on one chain, just depending on what they want to do. What's the status of Uldor in the blockchain space right now? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, so we're partnered with Immutable. We definitely are, watching the landscape kind of evolve. Obviously, a lot's happened since then, like you mentioned. We've seen, the rise of subnets. We've seen, so many L2s, L3s. We've got all these innovative approaches, ZKEVM. Since then, and so we're watching and experimenting with some of these. We're fortunate that our needs for our March game mode is really not that complex, and so we're not going to be doing just tons and tons of things on chain. But obviously, the most important things for us, and I think for anybody, is like uptime, to make sure that the chain is always accessible. The cost to the player and the studio, is there gas? Do we subsidize that gas? What are those costs? If the player's having to put that in, like, how do we get them funds to pay gas? What kind of friction is there? Liquidity is something we look at. So, obviously, like some chains are going to be much better for liquidity, and then the ease of onboarding and offboarding. And I think there's just so much to consider. I think we're in a good spot to where we can kind of watch and see, like, again, like what's working, what's not working. I think that it's going to be a while before we see are there going to be like one winner? Like, are there going to be multiple winners of the space? Are we going to continue to see, just dozens of options? Or is it going to be like one player, it just becomes the default?
Yeah, I think that liquidity thing is an interesting one because it comes down to like people blame a chain when something doesn't go right, and it's got nothing to do with the chain. It's got to do with how you market and how you build up and who you market to. So where the liquidity issue has been is around the people that go for the gaming. Yeah. So if you just go, we're selling an NFT and you're going to own this skin in a game. Well, degens don't care about that. They care about value go up, token go up when Lambo, and that's where the liquidity is in the market at the moment. There's only a few games that have done a good job of marketing to gamers, Luvium being one of them that I know of. I looked at the top 500 trading volume NFT sets of all time, and there's like 3 games in it. The rest are just all those promises that you're going to get rich if you buy our NFT. So I think that's where a lot of people are not seeing the true way or value or how to release an NFT. And there's a few chains that have obviously got a few degens a little bit more than others, but it's if you've got a good game, you market your product and you market it that you can get rich from buying this NFT, you will sell out. And that's coming across right now. The chains that are promising the world with their NFTs are sucking those degens in. If you say you're going to buy this and it's going to be a skin that you can wear in our game, and that's all you're going to get, then you might struggle unless you've made your game so massive out there that people just can't wait for it to come out and they really want to play it. So that's where I think the disconnect is around liquidity at the moment. What do you think? Thoughts on that, Graslo?
I think that's spot on, and I'll add to that. So you have games that are kind of struggling to find who their audience is. Like in the short term, they think the audience is the degen because that's how you can get revenue. And I mean, at the end of the day, they're looking at the bottom line of their business, and whether the customers are playing a game or interested in the game at all, or just they're speculating. If they're driving revenue, that's what the studio's after. Now we're taking a more long-term approach. We think that some of the speculative stuff, just like like a lot of these, like we talked about MMOs. I think they lose their stickiness. I think this speculative stuff has no stickiness. If just like we saw with like crypto mining in the early days, like the degens are going to go where the profit is. And they will leave your game just as quickly as they came to it if your token drops in price and value, or if you change your metrics to benefit gamers more than speculators. And so you'll see this massive exit liquidity. And so that's something to consider. You also have games that have a really interesting strategy of being multi-chain, and some blockchains they need activity. So they encourage games to onboard, even if that game has already been on 3 or 4 or 5 other chains. And so they encourage them to come on their chain. They do a big activation. They help them do either a free NFT or in some cases a paid NFT. And this has worked really well for some games. And in the short term, you're exposing yourselves to a large number of community. Like if Uldor were to launch a collection on Solana, then now all of a sudden we've got all these Solana maxis into our community and wanting to know more about what we're building. And then we could launch on Polygon, and we could launch on, it's like we launch on 5 different chains. So we capture some of those audiences, but we see that as like you lose, you lose focus on building on one chain, you lose focus on building the game. And now you've inherited all this tech debt of like, you've got to support all of these collections, all of these different blockchains that are now like upgrading, like what if they upgrade to be, a different kind of blockchain, or like they change their code base, and then you've got to maintain your support for their chain. And, you've done that for 5 chains. And so, we haven't seen that as our strategy, but I see others doing it, and I can definitely see pros and cons.
There was funny you say that. There was a tweet by Kiraverse, which has been an Immutable game for a long time, and they wrote a big long thread about all their all their NFT collections and where you can buy them. There's 4 different chains. There's Telos somehow they've gone on Telos now as well. Immutable, Loopring, and Layer 1. And they've got like a whole literal huge thread on where you can get and what all those NFTs do. And just they don't think like I've got to get a wallet that's enabled for each one of those chains, and I've got to manage those assets. I responded saying it's great that I need to get a master's in cryptography to be able to understand how to play your game, mate. You know, like it's just that multi-chain is a short term. To me, if you go multi-chain, I'm instantly thinking your game's shit and you're doing it because you're trying to grab players. That's what I think personally. So I'm very skeptical of games that are multi-chain. If someone says, we're coming to Immutable, I've seen it a couple of times recently, and we're doing a release, there was one that did it and had a $3,500 NFTs. I couldn't find out even what that NFT did, you know, after an hour of research. And then another example is Block Lords. When they were Polygon and Immutable, they had to do stuff on Polygon, and to remember where your NFTs were, you had to remember where they were, and you could transfer them between IMX and Polygon, and you had to change your wallet that you're currently using and all this stuff. And I was like, I ended up just going, I can't be bothered, and I just stopped playing it. So there's a risk of going multi-chain.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there are real downsides there, and it's short term. Like in the short term, you can see the upsides and say we get access to this large community, we get instant hype. A lot of people talking about us. Maybe we get some short term revenue, but long term, it's just introducing so many problems, and you have to you're expected to support these. And if they come back later and say we're no longer supporting the NFTs on whatever chain, that's just such a drag for those people that were there, and it creates more headache for your team to be able to do some kind of cross chain integration. So yeah, we really want to focus on a single chain, but I mean, I will say we're watching the market. I mean, if like one chain or solution were to rise above the rest and just be like the obvious choice, I mean, you don't want to just leave that out. But at the same time, like we just think that it makes more sense to us to focus on building a great game, find a blockchain partner that understands game studios' needs, has a great tech solution, and then we focus on onboarding players to our game. If the blockchain is also focused on onboarding players, that's great too, and I think that's a great thing that some chains and ecosystems are focusing on. They want to be not publishers, but quasi publishers, to where they're making relationships with streamers and all these other partners that are going to help you to grow your player base. But yeah, I think single chain just makes more sense.
I'm sitting here listening to you juggernauts go at it, and I'm just giving both of you air high fives right now. You can't see it. I have the biggest grin on my face. I love this conversation.
What do you think?
Oh man,
what do you think, WT?
There's so much truth on both sides of it, and to both scenarios, whether it's single chain or multi-chain, there's pros and cons to each. So you got to have a healthy balance, like anything in life. You got to have a healthy balance. Yes, you need the volume, but yes, are you dedicating too many resources to all these different chains and spreading yourself too thin? It's a fine line of balancing it, and like nobody has the answer because the space is so new and it's so underdeveloped, and we don't have the excess liquidity to just gamble on things because it can be dangerous to a single game studio's bottom line, and you just gotta. Oh man, there's so much to it. There's so much to it. But I'm listening to you two. I'm listening to you two. It's going to happen
more and more.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to happen more and more because 90% of games fail, and blockchain doesn't change that. So if you've got a blockchain saying we can guarantee users if you come to our chain, and you've released on another chain and you're failing, then why would you not try it? It doesn't cost that much to integrate that chain into your, the risk versus reward there is like, we're not doing well, like 90% of games that release, let's go to, I'm not going to say the name of it, and release there, because there's 10,000 dumb people that that will just buy into our game just because they're on your chain. So I get it's going to happen more, but so games of strategy, I think, are going to be the big games, AAA titles will release single chain. It won't matter too much what chain you build on, as long as it's got the cost reductions from building on that chain, That's why we're big followers of Immutable, because they're building the infrastructure that's making the cost reduction. What do you think, Graslo, is the best capabilities of the current Immutable StarkX? And do you know much about the ZK EVM? What's your opinions on the capability of Immutable?
Yeah, and I'll just to back up what you just said. I think you're absolutely right about AAA games. Like they're going to pick the chain or solution that they like, and then they're going to build their player base. Where it gets more interesting with multi-chain versus single chain, and just what the chain brings to the table is all the indie games and those that are not raising the AAA budgets, which I think that segment is growing. I hear that from investors too. They want to invest in indie games, which is really interesting. So it's going to be an interesting thing for the space. But yeah, as far as Immutable's tech, like what first attracted us to Immutable was it introduced like predictable cost. With their solution, you didn't have to worry about gas or subsidizing gas. They have this protocol fee, and it's like we don't pay anything. They take it out of the actual transactions. So you have a predictable cost, whereas with other solutions, you really don't know what's going to happen if your game takes off or if another game on the same chain takes off, and that was going to create lots of just issues, unpredictability with uptime, with the gas cost. If the cost of a transaction is normally like a penny, we can all eat that. That's not a problem. We could imagine the customers eating that. We could eat that. But if it were to spike to like 50 cents or $1 for even a period of time, what do you do during that period of time? Shut the game down?
Right.
Tell people don't use whatever assets or like if you have some built-in mechanism that uses the chain, you just like turn that off or throttle it. So yeah, that was something that was very concerning to us. But we have been watching the space in all the new tech, and there's definitely some interesting things. I think we're at the point to where we haven't seen, to speak to what we were saying earlier, like we haven't seen enough testing yet. Like it's super healthy for us to see chains break. We saw with the ordinal stuff, right? The inscriptions, like we saw a lot of chains like deal with that recently. And it's so good to be able to see that early on before we get mass adoption, because it points out where things are going to break when you start to multiply the users by 10 and 100 and 1,000 from where we are today. But yeah, so we're following Immutable's ZK EVM. We haven't integrated it yet, and so it's something where we just know it at like a high level. Of course, we have a relationship with Immutable and Polygon, and of course Beam, which recently announced their partnership with the two of them. So yeah, we're familiar, but we're not experts.
Okay, well, since you just brought that up, that was actually a follow-up question we had here. There's a lot of options out there. L2s. You talked about Beam, subnets with Avalanche. So, what's your thoughts on what you see so far with ZK EVMs versus whatever else is out there?
Yeah, I think all of them have slight pros and cons. I mean, it's great to have more selection. It's great to have, in my opinion, a better tech to choose from. I don't know that we've seen stress testing yet. Like ZKVM is still really new. Like we haven't seen like real mainnet launches and actual like tons of uses on chain yet. And so I'm excited to see that so that we can, estimate cost. We can estimate any kind of potential issues that could arise with, uptime or anything that could come up. Like you really don't even know what to expect until you actually see it in use and see it in use by a ton of users and probably more important than anything, malicious users. Stick some liquidity out there and let somebody try to mess with it,
right?
Because that's going to be really helpful. We saw this with Ronin. When Ronin's like one of the stars of gaming chains, at least that for the longest
tell you
time.
That. Oh boy, here we go. Here we go.
He said it.
Mate. You said it. You said I avoided saying that evil word. It's like the Voldemort word with the name we shall never name.
But what we saw with them was the hack or the exploit that took advantage of that multi-sig.
But they didn't know for 5 days.
That was
that they didn't know about for 5 days until they realized they lost $600 million. Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, I remember that one.
I'll say you learn a lot of lessons when things like that happen.
Yeah,
Valuable lessons.
Not to build on them.
But we all kind of need that. Like every chain needs some kind of like hack or like exploit. I mean, hopefully a much smaller scale, but you need that because it ensures that you're gonna be better, for the long term. Like on Ethereum mainnet, we still run into issues. Like we recently discovered this problem with some Solidity contracts. Certain providers had issues mixing some different code in a Solidity contract, and it exposed a vulnerability in dozens, maybe hundreds of contracts that are in use. I mean, there are like many thousands of NFTs that are affected by this, and so things like this, like games are going to have to start thinking about this. Before, games had to worry about their own proprietary systems, and there's kind of this wall of protecting your data. And so, yes, there were compromises and things did happen, but at the end of the day, like it wasn't exposed the way blockchain is. And you could be running a game and have the best security in the world, but then something happens with your Solidity contract or whatever your blockchain solution is, and all of a sudden your users are losing all of their millions of dollars worth of assets, and you're expected to cover that. Like somebody's got to make them whole. And so yeah, that's something that we all have to think about as well.
I want to make something clear as well. Immutable didn't need to have a $600 million hack to learn and create a secure product. 99.99% uptime for the StarkX blockchain with 0 hacks. So that's been going for 4 years. Just to make that clear that you don't need to be hacked 600 million to claim you've learned or be a secure platform. What did you think about the technologies themselves? What optimistic subnets or alt layer 1 ZK EVM, or where do you sit in terms of your feeling of what's the best solution for gaming at the moment? You did mention ZK EVM is unproven yet, so maybe outside of that, like if they were proven, is that what you're leaning? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I like, as far as the recent tech goes, I mean, ZK EVM and subnets are both super interesting. I will say that I really like the way that L1s and most L2s like expose transactions on chain. Like I really like the ease of being able to follow a trail of transactions and see that the extra transparency of like the provable scarcity and things like that. But just making sure that we and not to say that ZKVM or subnets do this, but like when we do some advancements, we just have to be careful about the idea of abstraction. That's something we're talking about a lot lately. People want to do wallet abstraction, and it's like your users should never know what blockchain you're on, or they should never know that you're using blockchain. And you get to the point where it's like, what's the point of blockchain? Like, what is it doing for your game that you don't want your users to even know that it's there? Like. So that's something that we think a lot about. Like we think that blockchain is going to add a lot of value to gaming, but so we're just, when we evaluate the tech, we're also just kind of trying to see where blockchain can add value, but do so in a way that's not adding friction, not adding cost, and something that's easy for us to support as well.
Yeah, I think ZKVM, you have a block explorer that provably, like all the things you were saying, the Immutable StarkX one is an API driven, solely API driven. So you need to get exposed to API data and trust that data. I guess that's maybe where your angle is with that. But the equivalency ZKVMs like Immutable ZKVM, Tycho, and all, the 5 big players, ZK Sync. And I think there's one other one, Linear. Like they're like virtually equivalent, and they're exactly the same as Ethereum layer 1 pretty much. And you'll be able to have 100% proven data on those versions of ZK EVM.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think that's that it adds the value of that blockchain adds, which is that provable scarcity, enhanced ownership, in a way that reduces the friction. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely one of the pros.
Well, I know I've been hogging the mic, and we'll move on to it very shortly. But I think there's a balance between saying, when you say that, oh, you don't even know you're on the blockchain. I think that the balance between that and making it very easy to use the blockchain compared to what it is now is where the home run is. So if people know they're on the blockchain, but like just right now, we don't know what database is storing our voices right now, or look our messaging on. Do you know which database is using that Discord uses to save data? Like, you don't really need to know it, but you know there is a database there, and it's saved on one. And I think that's what blockchain will get to. It'll be like, we know the blockchain's there, we know it's a database type that stores our data, and we can view it and see it. But when we just want to play a game, especially for gamers, we just want to be able to log in easily, start playing, and if we really start to enjoy the game, then we can go, you know what, these assets matter to me. And that's what I think we're not at. We're at the degen stage where people are speculating, buying because of speculation, and we're going to get rich off computer games. And I think over the next 5 years, we're going to see less blockchains, less people like that, and more, the winners are going to be games that people play for gaming, and then they will want to own the asset because of how fun the game is, or how much attached they are to the game. And that's what the shift will happen over time, in my opinion.
I totally agree with that. I will just say that I feel like, and maybe we're closer to this not being an issue than I think, but I feel like there's always going to be, or at least for the foreseeable future, there's going to be a lower barrier to go to move your funds and other assets on the same chain. And so if that's the case, then it's going to basically add this incentive for games and chains to all work together to share the same users, to collab together, to build in-game integrations, and share liquidity. This is going to create this kind of unique ecosystem play for gaming, to where you jump in a game and they have all these like built-in partners, not because they're run by the same studio, not because they were funded by the same investors, but because they're on the same ecosystem, and they all have this vested interest to share their user base. Because if my users are going to your game and then yours are coming to my game, there's more liquidity, there's more transactions, and I'm making more revenue off of those transactions. So that's just my gut feeling. I don't hear that talked about a lot in the space, but I think that's going to kind of lead these ecosystems to continue to kind of play like like publishers in a way.
What's your thoughts on the future of blockchains? Do you think we were supposed to talk about that more in depth? Do you think there's going to be a winner, a couple of winners? It's going to be this huge scene that's got thousands of blockchains that there are now. Where do you see the future, especially for gaming?
It's really interesting. I feel like that naturally you would think that we would kind of find two or three winners, and maybe they have their pros and cons, and we kind of separate those out and say, okay, Immutable's great at this and two others are great at these other things. But it kind of is up to how crypto as an asset lasts. Like we just got this Bitcoin ETF. We're exposing more people to blockchain. People naturally come in, they get exposed to Bitcoin, then they learn about Ethereum, then they start to get into all these other tokens and utility and use cases, and it can support a lot more protocols and tools than we necessarily need. We don't necessarily need all of these L2s and L3s and other solutions, but if the market will support them and investors will keep investing because there's revenue being generated, then I could definitely see us sustaining a lot of options. And as games build, if they're generating more revenue. But on the flip side of that, it does seem like a lot of this is kind of propped up by original investment, either from tokens, from the whole 2017, 2018 cycle, and also VCs. And that doesn't seem to be fully sustainable unless revenue actually continues, and because we have seen some blockchains like kind of scale back. Of course, that was during the bear market, so it kind of remains to be seen. I could see it going either way. My hunch is that we're going to see 3 or 4 chains do really well, and then a lot kind of, just not necessarily go away, but just kind of find a small niche.
I think we're kind of on the same page, but I think over the next 2 years we see consolidation down to 10 obvious choices for games, and then in the 5 years there'll be 2 or 3, maybe 4, maybe 5, like you said. But that's about 5 years out, and also like the big games their volume will dwarf all the other games combined. So the bottom 90% of games of the revenue will be less than the top one game. So will that be sustainable for chains to survive on, when the VC money runs out and it's clear that they're not winning the big games and everyone's building on these 5 chains, what will happen to other ones that have gone all in on gaming, or they're just not having the transactions? So is it sustainable to hold 20 gaming blockchains? Can 20 blockchains survive? I don't know, man. I think it consolidates because of the funding. We'll see that, I guess.
You guys know what I'm good at? I know when to shut my mouth and sit back and just listen. And I'm watching you two titans go back and forth here in this very logical, very civil debate. And these are the conversations. These are the conversations that need to be going on in the Web3 space. We get in these silos, and everybody wants to pump their own team and their own coin and their own NFTs and all that stuff. And these are the conversations that need to be going down. So I'm just absorbing this. This has been absolutely fantastic. And we can't go forever, but we probably could. So I'm going to corral this back in. There's been a lot of high-level conversation going on. It's been absolutely amazing. So we're going to give a little bit of comedy relief right now. So we're going to set you up, Graslo, with 10 questions. They're supposed to be one-word answers. If you got to give a little context to it, that's fine. But we're trying to keep it concise. So are you ready to do this?
Let's do it.
Okay. One-word answers only if you can do it. Do you prefer to watch sports or esports, aka streamers?
100% esports.
Awesome. Do you prefer to play sports or video games?
Video games.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. What is your favorite video game?
Oh, that's that changes every day.
Current one.
Yeah.
I'll say the finals. I'm actually enjoying it.
The final.
Finals?
I'm not sure what that. What is that?
So the final, it's actually really new. So the finals is like it's a crazy game. So I've only played it like several hours, but I'm already kind of hooked. But it's kind of a cross between. It's an FPS. It's kind of a cross between like Counter-Strike and Fortnite.
Yeah.
It's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard.
Interesting. All right. So we're going to switch back to sports here. Messi or Ronaldo?
I have no idea. I'm not a sports guy.
No? Okay. All right. That makes sense. You're answering all video games. You're right. You've been doing this since 2011, like you said earlier. All right. Xbox, PlayStation, PC, or Nintendo? What's your favorite?
PC.
Okay.
PC Master Race.
That's right.
All right.
I need my keyboard and mouse.
Okay, we're going to get away from the video game option for you. Do you prefer books or movies?
Movies.
What is your
I
favorite?
like collecting books.
You like collecting books?
Yeah. I like books as collectibles. They're nice to put on the shelf, but I like watching movies.
Okay. All right, so what's your favorite movie?
Fifth Element.
Ooh.
That was a great movie.
That's
A little
all-time best movie.
Bruce Willis. I like that movie. It's not my all-time favorite, but I liked it. I like Bruce Willis. Long-time favorite. All right, Ferrari or Lamborghini?
I gotta say, all right, I like Ferrari, to be honest, but I know being in crypto, I should say Lambo.
I like it. That's a great answer. All right, favorite ice cream flavor?
Cookies and cream.
Not bad. That's probably my second favorite. All right. Here's our all-time favorite here at Gamers Galaxy. One word to describe Elon Musk.
Clown.
Oh,
Oh, that's a new one.
it's a new one. We haven't had that one before. Okay. All
Not
right.
necessarily in a bad way, but he clowns.
I've come out and said, like, and I don't say this negatively, he is the greatest troll of our generation by far.
Yeah.
By far. That's a good thing in my opinion. For me, it's a good thing. All right. Video game that popped your cherry.
First game would have to be Combat on the Atari.
Oh well.
Oh wow.
That's way back.
Yeah,
That's
going old school.
a tank. Yeah, it's a tank versus tank game on the Atari. So it's like very few pixels.
Do you have anything more future than that? Let's go to Nintendo.
You only have your cherry pop once.
Oh yeah. You're right. Okay,
Now I will say Mario on the SNES, or I mean on the NES, the original NES, like that. That really introduced like story to me, and I just got hooked on gaming ever since.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Well, that brings us close to the end of the interview. Just wanted to say that I am no Titan. I'm just some dude sitting in his mother's basement with over opinions. Where Graslo's definitely a Titan, has earned the right to have an opinion and have weight behind that. So thank you for giving those opinions to us today, mate. We really appreciate your time. Was there anything that you wanted to cover about Uldor or anything at all that we missed that we tell us if there's a...
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to mention is just, we love new players. So if you're interested in like Souls-like combat or MMOs and you just want to like participate in what we're building, we'd love to have you join our Discord, follow us on Twitter, see what we're all about. But I really enjoyed the interview. I appreciate it, guys.
Is it open to play right now? Anyone can just join and play the game?
Yeah, we have a version. It's a few months old. There is an update coming very soon, but it is available on Elixir, Hyperplay, and Sedona game launchers.
That's sweet.
Awesome, man. Thanks for stopping by today. Really appreciate you. I see you all over in the space. I really notice when people go outside of their own games and participate in other games and other spaces, and I see you all around time, and appreciate it. Come by today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Okay, that was Graslo from the upcoming game Uldor. I absolutely just loved that conversation on so many levels. I can't wait to go back and just listen to it again and listen to you two debate everything about the Web3 space and the games going on. And boy, Rubick, what was your thoughts with what just went down there?
Yeah. It's obvious that Graslo, lots has changed since he signed up with Immutable originally, and he's obviously quite well. He seems like a guy that knows what he's doing, and there's options and what they need to do, and he's going to make the right decision for him and his game. And I think he's torn between, because the messaging was around the game, about the strategy, but also that risk of going for just the gamers versus the degens. You know what I mean? Like he mentioned that there's funding opportunities coming up for them. So like, do I make a mint for 10,000 PFPs that get you the chance to make all this money in the future to guarantee profits, or does he go for that 100 million, not 100 million, like 3-4 million players, Web 2 players? It's a risk to go for that Web 2 player base. So I think he's torn. That's what I took away from it. I don't know if you took it away the same thing. I think he's torn about what the right path to go is for his game, which it's a big decision.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's torn for me. Listening to him, and I've seen him around a lot in different spaces and different communities. I think he is just trying to make his game. He's sitting back and he's observing what's going to happen, because I think him, like a lot of other people, they're not really sure of what is going to happen with this space, which, it's kind of understandable. It's like a new frontier. My one concern is I think they have a lot on their plate, and that's why I wanted to know about how many devs they had. And I understand completely, especially recently with talking to people, it's about the quality of your game developers, and yes, that is very, very true. But man, they got a lot coming up, but I think they're taking it in baby steps, so I think they'll be all right. The product that I've seen so far is pretty good in my opinion for what they wanted to get out there. I'm very interested to see where their open world goes to, and genuinely I like his presence in the space, and I hope he sticks with Immutable. Obviously that's we're a Immutable based show, but he's going to look at his options, and it's going to be up to Immutable ultimately to provide the best services, and that will take care of that issue if he's going to keep the game in this ecosystem or not.
Yeah. Also, a comment about the gas free thing seems to be really high on the agenda. Now, gas free on Immutable is like completely free. He thought was the statement, like the transaction fees on the marketplace pay for the gas, but on the Immutable ZK at StarkX, you definitely need to build a lot more back end stuff into the cloud services, and there's costs there. So really, there's no free lunch in game development. You've got to pay for service. There's no doubt about it. No, one way or another, you've got to pay for service.
Right.
And there's just what's the cheapest ones, and I think you kind of mentioned that as well. So I think that's what's going to be his biggest decision. And again, on to the overworld. It seems like their overworld MMO is not that far developed yet, by the sounds of it, which they take a long time to build, mate.
Mm-hmm.
A long time, So we could, from the MMO, we could, and he's 20 devs or so. Like that's quite a small team for an MMO as well.
Yeah.
So we could be a while out from playing the MMO version of the game. But he's got, they've built the realms. It's more going to be a PvP game, and then use that proof of concept to either get funding or use the funding from it to continue to build out the overworld. So yeah, maybe he didn't realize that's how it came across. It came across like it's very early days in the PvE sort of world that they're building.
Yeah.
Maybe he can. We'll have him on again because he's a great guy, and maybe he can correct that comment we just made. I just made. Sorry.
Yeah. I've seen some video game footage of that open world of what it's going to look like. I mean, granted, it's just a little bit of footage, but it looks like something they're working on. But again, it's a big task to take on. So I wish them the best. I like what they have so far, and I'm interested to see what they do, regardless of where they go. And hopefully they stay with Immutable, and I'll keep ties with him and try to keep whispering in his ear like, hey, what's going on? You should stay with Immutable. We love you.
My last thing is your comment. You've said it twice now that I'm some Titan or Juggernaut or big brain, whatever it was you used. I'm just opinionated, mate. That's all there is. And I've got a little bit of dev skills. And I would never, ever have the hide to class myself in the level of someone like Graslo, who's been building games for years, been researching blockchain, probably knows the technical side of it inside out. So I do appreciate you saying that, but I definitely don't feel that. Mine's just I know that what I'm saying may not be the truth. I know it when I say it. I'm pretty strong conviction with when I researched this much. I was very strong conviction with Tesla, and I was 100% right with that. So I've got the same feel about Immutable. And about blockchain gaming, and so when I got opinions, I've had a lot of thought going to this, and that's why I speak like I've got conviction. But in the end, I know I don't have the weight that these big players in the community do.
Well, it was a great conversation, and that's what came to mind, so I went with it, and I still feel very confident in saying that because I'm telling you, it was a great conversation. When you go back to listen to it. Listen to it, man. It was really good. I enjoy stuff like that. It's like food for my
theory
brain.
Crafting?
I'm sorry, what?
Well, kind of like theory crafting and throwing ideas out there, and that. Yeah, I like those conversations.
It's food for my brain, dude. And I just had the biggest grin on my face. So, but yeah, good stuff all around. I like the interview. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
Nah, that's all good for me. It was good fun. Thanks for coming on, Graslo. We'd love to have you back again one day.
Yeah. Moving on, Immutable threw up on their X Second World, and This one I'm like scratching my head at. Right away I thought, oh, this looks like kind of like a Clash of Clans game, so to speak. And then I dug just a little bit, not a whole lot, into what they got going. And yes, it is. They have a Clash of Clans style game. I was able to download the app and just like check it out. I didn't do much with it, but like I think their main thing that they have right now is Balls. Was it Balls of Fury or something like that? It's a racing game. No, I'm sorry, Ball Guys.
No.
Ball Guys Fury Road. So I'm a little confused. Which game are they releasing, or what are they doing, or have you seen anything on this?
Yeah, I played it. It's a mobile game. It's they're building 3 games, and the one they've got out right now is called Second World, and it's pretty much a rip-off of Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. So Clash of Clans, you build a base and you go and attack the base, and whatever base you build, people can attack your base as well when you're not online. But Clash Royale is kind of like WAGMI games, where you have the 2 bases on either side and you're live playing PvP. So in this game, you create your base, and that gives you your power to build your armies, and then you go to war with that army in a game like Clash Royale. So it's kind of like playing both Clash Royale and Clash of Clans. Very early days. It needs a lot of work right now, to be honest with you. It's definitely alpha stage or beta stage. A little bit slow, to push something takes 15 minutes to build in the very first day. So it's like, like a bit of a slow burner. Probably need to get that sped up at the start a little bit more, so you get, the first time you play, you can build that time. You're active for 15 minutes, sort of thing, and you got stuff to constantly do. But I guess you can go fighting and straight away as well on the game. So we'll see.
So is the game?
Sorry.
Is the game called Second World, or because their studio is named Second World also? So that one threw me off.
Yeah, I believe it's called Second World. Let me just check out on my mobile what it's called. If make sure
that's what I thought at first too, and then when I brought it up, I was like, "Well, which one is it?" And that's why I got confused on the Fury Road one, because I was like, "Okay, so this is the studio," but I mean, it's the name. It might be the same. It might be the same. I just first thought Clash Clans, and then they have some other games going on.
Yeah, the studio is Second World Games, and the game is Second World New World.
Ah, okay. Right.
So yeah, and it's mobile, playable now. You can see the very first game I had a bug where I could unlimit the energy. Never you place the energy. It's like 4 energy to place this character, or 3 energy for that character. Well, the energy wouldn't stop, so I could just keep on pumping out characters. I had like the whole screen full of characters. Nice. But the second time I played it, that bug didn't happen. So it was a day later. So we'll see. It looks polished, really good developed, high quality. But again, there's a lot of these type of games. They're very similar. So that's my concern for it. The founder he made a statement that his Immutable ZKVM improves our technology and aligns perfectly with our commitment to player-centric experiences. So again, choosing Immutable because it's a gamer-focused chain. That's what I believe. Their roadmap, they've got, like you're right, there is a game called Ball Guys, Fury Road, and then there's also another game coming out called Aurora or something AI, and it seemed like a creator kind of game. I don't know. I went onto their website to check it out, but their roadmap is actually 2024 roadmap. Nothing, so it's an up-to-date one. Goals to have 200k players in each of their games, and Series A funding. Trying for this quarter and a token launch, so we'll see. They've got big plans, really high quality devs. Agar Balls is the other one. So Second World is the name of that game. Ball Guys is the racing car game where you bump people off, and Agar Balls is something different.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, next up on the X with Immutable. This one I was like scratching my head at this one. Was it Revon? I got that right? Or I'm sorry, Revomon. Revomon. Revomon?
I thought Revomon. Did you miss the Space Mavericks first?
I may have. Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, my apologies. Yes, I'm sorry about that. My apologies. Yes, Space Mavericks.
All right.
We've actually talked about this one in the past. This
Yeah.
one, yeah, Space Mavericks. You caught me off guard here. I have my tabs in the wrong spot. Apologies. But yeah, this
Sorry.
is no, it's fine. Indie game accelerator. Space Mavericks is a real time. Oh, this is the MOBA. Yes, the MOBA. That's correct. Yeah, they were back. What has changed? Why are they back in the news with Immutable now?
I think because they just I don't know. They've done it a couple of times. They've announced games again. Like I think it was a less bigger profile announcement before, and they also announced another chain. I think it was called Viction. I don't know, something else. It was a weird name, one I've never ever heard before. Just a couple of months ago. So maybe they've decided to come back to Immutable. Like I don't know what they're doing. Maybe Immutable's. You know, this is what's happening a lot. We're seeing it a lot. You know, people fight. Graslo actually mentioned it today that he's got chains left, right, and center coming at him, offering him the world.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're seeing. I'm sure that this Immutable might have just won them back again. You know, but
yeah, they're definitely cross-chain. It says it in there that they're cross-chain, so you know it's definitely a trend that's coming around, and you know, people fighting for volume. I get it, but at the same time, the interesting conversation we had, you know, how much resources are you spreading out by doing that versus what you're taking in? So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure.
Yeah, I worry about it. This, you know, it's just so complicated. You know, for gamers to have to worry about more than one chain.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Also, and now I can officially talk about Revomon.
I do want to say what there's like. I found out something else about this game. Sorry,
Yeah,
I've got my
go
tabs
ahead.
in it. The reason why I wanted to do it in order is because I've got my tabs in order as well. Sorry if I put you out, mate.
No, it's
but
fine.
they've got a battle royale version where you have 8 players, like in a worm style game. They've got a PVE as well, so you can play versus the like certain boss battles and things like that, and try like tactical kind of style to try and win against the computer, as well as ranking tournaments for you know to climb the ladder. So I really like this game. This is be a kind of game I could play. So you know, I thought it when I actually held a spaces for these guys for Yoda Labs when they were on Polygon, not Immutable, and they sent me an NFT, and so I got this NFT for them. I wonder what that does, because I like this kind of game. What about you? Do you like this kind of like crossing between lemmings or worms and like a small battle royale or a small MOBA style game?
I've played MOBAs before. I find them, you know, somewhat interesting. It's not what I usually go to when I'm playing games. Especially on the mobile. I don't know, maybe I just haven't spent enough time doing it. I like the builder games on mobile, or I've recently with, you know, Guild of Guardians, the roguelite, you know, tap it, walk away, do something. That's the kind of style I like now, and I didn't know I would like that style until recently of the playtesting. So I may have to, you know, expand myself a little bit and give MOBAs another try, but I'm not against them. I just haven't played them a lot.
I don't think it's like your typical MOBA like League of Legends or Dota. It's very different to that. So I don't know what they call it MOBA. What do they call it? They called it a
Am I on the wrong one again? I might.
No. No. Sorry, they call it a MOBA, but I'm saying it's not your traditional MOBA like you're thinking of, like League of Legends or Dota.
Okay.
Like it's more of a like game of, I think, like for forceman's back, or you know, you slowly encroach on the base by doing damage and working your way up their side of the map through strategy, yeah, rather than an action-based live MOBA style game.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, turn-based, maybe with your battles, with your shooting and things like that. So, anyway, we'll see when it comes out because I'm going to play it.
Awesome. Yeah. Keep us posted on that, and I don't know, maybe send me a reminder, and I'll check it out when we get a little bit closer to that. Coming back to Revomon here, I'm very interested in this one because it looks like they put up a tweet or a post. It's so hard for me to stop saying tweet. They put up a post with some form of a piece of land in it, and I think that's tied to this game. Did you see that post?
Yeah, I just did some research on these guys earlier. They, uh,
Looks very Pokemonish, or am I looking at that wrong?
yeah, so it's a VR game, and you can travel through the world collecting, creatures. It looks like it's out already, or maybe it's part. I'll try to see how much of it is out. It's a Binance game, launch on Binance amongst a bunch of scam games. I wonder why no one plays your game. It just baffles me that you'd build on Binance. Filtering. There's about 500-600 games on them. If you look at it through them, they're all just little clickers and things like that, and just come and spend your money. You're gonna get rich if you play our game, and then just yoink. So yeah.
That's crazy.
But yeah, look, it looks pretty high quality. The graphics, the world, cool art, VR, and it's cute little characters you got to collect. I haven't done a lot of research into it, mate. It's I think it's a game that didn't get to full release, and because it's out now. But this overworld is the real, like the land-based play is the real game that's still getting built, and then they've come to Immutable to launch on a real gaming platform. That's what I think's happened.
Yeah, they got 54,000 followers, which I was kind of, I seen that too. They were coming over from Binance as like another game with a lot of followers, and for whatever reason they can't make it over there. It just seems to be a trend. And the other trend I'm noticing too is like I'm starting to like, is it just me, or is like everybody trying to do Pokemon collect games, or or am I just being overcritical on that?
And there's lots of these types of games, isn't there?
Yeah.
They're not my thing. They're not my thing. But this is different. It's VR.
Yes.
So there's all Oculus Rift and all that kind of stuff. I've seen that stuff. There's ladders. There's I think if people own an Oculus Rift or a VR headset, which I don't at the moment, I want to get one. Then it could be a cool game because that's the point of differentiation. There's not differentiation. There's not that much like VR games where you own your items. You can check out 3D your NFT. That'd be pretty cool, I guess. But
yeah.
Run around. I never played Pokemon Go. When they went crazy. I don't know about you, but in Australia, that game went ballistic. It was like every single person was running around the city. I worked in the city at the time in Sydney, and there's these morons rocking onto the middle of the road, nearly getting hit by cars because they're looking at their screen trying to collect their freaking Pokemon. Yeah. And like my mate, who's like this rugby league buffhead player, like he's an absolute like. I don't know if you ever, we're kind of redneck, but we're called Bogans. He's kind of like that from out the west of Sydney. Mm-hmm. And he's like this really, really cool guy, but he plays rugby league. It's a tough game. And there he is talking about this all day long. I'm like, what the hell are you doing, mate? I just never got it.
Right.
But that opened up minds, and it got heaps of different types of people playing it. So
yeah,
who knows? I don't. You just never know what's going to take off in gaming. You just never know. That's what. If it was a science or a particular, like guaranteed formula that worked, there would only be 5 games companies that just pay.
It's funny. You say that, and that's the exact strategy that Immutable knows and is going with. Is they want as many lotto tickets as possible to find that niche game that just takes off. So it's part of the strategy. That's why we're here. We're going through all these games. There's so many coming in, and it's just another one to talk about here. So you had some, I think this is some alpha coming up that you have, or was this? It says not officially announced. So is this some Rubick alpha?
Well, we've just talked about 3 games that Immutable's announced on Twitter that they're building on. These games are building on them. It's pretty confident that they are building on Immutable. Mm-hmm. So I also like to make a disclaimer that when we say it's not announced, is that we don't know for sure if Immutable has endorsed it, if they're really doing it, who these people are.
Okay.
Pretty confident. The first one, Looperlands, which is a Loopering and GameStop. We'll get to that later on. Games, they're not in our good books today. These guys are legit, and we're going to have them on the show next week. So we won't go into too much, but they've said that they've built on Immutable. They've gone multi-chain. They're now loopering and Immutable. So we'll find out next week on more details about that. So we won't go too much into it today. But yeah, Looperlands, But yeah, these other ones, I've found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games that I've just come across through various different mediums, different people telling me stuff. It's not guaranteed that they're building on Immutable, but we're pretty certain they are. So let's go through them, hey?
Yeah, Looperlands. It's pixely, very pixely. Looks like open world, but probably social platform most likely. Some fighting elements to it. I didn't do a whole lot of research on this. It's not my style of game. You know, it just 1,194 followers. Doesn't seem like they got a lot of traction at the moment.
They get 6,000 players, so it's weird. They got more players than people following them. Yeah.
How is that? Wow.
Through GameStop, because of GameStop, mate. So you know, they got the GameStop community, and they're coming on next week to interview them. So
wow.
Let's talk more. Let's find out then. There's a big creator economy in there. I don't know what that is, and that's what we need to find out in this interview. That's the interesting thing. So why I want to have the interview, because I want to find out what they mean by this user-generated content and user-generated like the user controls the content somehow. So let's find out next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll have to, if you want to know more, you'll have to listen to us next week as well. Sorry, lads and ladies. But Smashverse, did you look at this one? Did you have a chance to look at this one?
Yeah, is this I don't know if I'm right on this one, but this was like virtual world casino. Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Like you go in there and play and gamble.
Yeah, so I saw this on image on an Immutable document. So this really is kind of announced, but it's not officially written as a partner. And they're also multi-chain. So they're like got 10 chains that they're going to be on. So this is literally gambling on the blockchain.
Yeah.
Proper, and using Chainlink VRF to, you know, for the authenticity, you know, the provably fair and tamper-proof randomness. Right. So yeah, they got like all those traditional casino games, roulette, you know, lotteries. Interesting to see take off. And you know, the chain with that kind of thing would make sense, doesn't it? If you just choose the chain you want, and then you don't have to worry about any other chain at all ever, and you just use your chain. But you abstract it away from having to worry about it until you want to take in and out. I guess that makes sense. But if it could get complicated.
It's very interesting. I don't know what the regulations are like, but I know over in Asia, in certain places, that the gambling culture is absolutely huge. Robbie's talked about it on some of his live streams, and yeah, maybe the regulation isn't that big over there with this kind of stuff. I know over here in the West, this stuff would be lighting up regulators pretty quickly. Yeah. So it's interesting to see.
Yeah, I'll give you a little fun fact, mate. I don't think it's the case anymore, but about 15 years ago, Australia had 25% of the world's poker machines. That's how much of gamblers we are. You don't pay tax on gambling winnings in Australia. Lotteries, anything like horse racing, casino. If you win $500 million in anything gambling, you win $500 million.
Wow, they take like 44% or something here.
Yeah, we know America. They like it. The government over there likes to take your money.
Yeah,
they do that often. If they brought a law in that did that, that person would be assassinated instantly, guaranteed. Gambling in Australia is an absolute scourge. I have a friend that was. He used to play poker machines, you know, when when we were kids, just turning 18, you know, we could drink at 18 in Australia, go up to the club, and he'd disappear all night, and he'd come back dancing with this piece of paper in his mouth saying, I've won $600, and one of the mates would come next to me and go, I've seen him put $1,000 in tonight, and he's excited about winning 600. You know, like, and this is like many years ago when $1,000 Australians, like, you know, probably 2,000 US in a night. And he did that often. So we're big gamblers over here, and so in Australia we are the West, but we are the. I know that Europe's really strict, and so is America's really strict. And you still need to get licensed and stuff like that. And you know, it's not easy to get that license, but there's enough demand from just 25 million people to make us 25% of the poker machines in the world, 0.001% of the population. So
Nice.
Anyway, we talked a bit about gambling. I think I've said this before, but yeah, it's one of the interesting facts about Australia. And gambling's not my thing. I lost about $2,000 when I was a kid, when I stopped drinking for a little bit, and I went, I'm going to go back to drinking because I spend more money gambling when I'm not drinking. When I get bored when I'm drinking, so I don't play these stupid things anymore. I'm not going to throw my money away.
Right. No.
Yeah.
That's a tough combo, but yeah.
So Smashverse. Sorry, lads and builders of that game. I won't be participating. I've seen too many people's lives destroyed with gambling.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how popular it gets, but it definitely could, because that culture over there, not just Australia, I know in Asia it's pretty big too. So lots of people over there. It'll be interesting to see. This next one, boy, I got to be honest. I did not know that there was a demand for hyenas in a motorcycle club running around first-person shooter. I was like, what? It says no hyena motorcycle club. I'm like, all right. I did not know we needed this.
It's different. Hyenas, and there's coyotes as well. So it's the hyenas versus coyotes.
Oh, naturally. Of course.
That's because are they natural enemies? I don't even know. Do they even live in the same?
I have no idea.
I think coyotes is America and hyenas are in Africa. Is that right? I'm pretty certain there's no coyotes in Africa, and I'm pretty certain there's no hyenas in America. So
I got coyotes in my backyard, so yes, they're here, but I don't have any hyenas, and nor are they in a motorcycle club. So,
but I think it's a pretty you get pretty sick of seeing humanoid kind of characters in shooting games. At least these guys have put a different kind of character on the humanoid, different head. So. Another Unreal Engine 5 game. We've talked about this a lot lately. How many of these are going to be successful? There's like literally 20 now on Immutable. They're all going to be fighting for mindshare just on Immutable, let alone on the whole entire blockchain space and versus Web 2, Web 3. So,
I'm wondering what the market share ratio is. Remember when Chris Clay was talking about Guild of Guardians? A big reason why they shifted was because the dungeon crawler metrics were pretty saturated, so they moved to the roguelite where there wasn't as much. So I wonder what that kind of dynamic is for first-person shooters. It's got to be pretty tough to compete for that market share. I would expect. What do you think?
Yeah, and in Web 2, and it's not just Web 3; it's Web 2 as well. Like
right.
And it's not big in Europe and in Asia. Like the shooters are not that popular. It's mainly a North American thing. So you're fighting for a small percentage of the population of the world of gamers as well. It's not like I don't think there's 3 billion first-person shooter players. I reckon there'd only be, if you take away PUBG off the mobile, you're probably only talking about a couple 100 million at the most, in the world. So I don't I'm one that doesn't get fazed by shooters. They're just like, it's the same thing over and over again for 40 years for me. So there's been some of them have a bit of variation, I'm sure, and there's a lot of people in America that like it. So we'll see how it goes. They are on Cardano as well, so another multi-chain. Well, this has not been announced by them or by Immutable. So this is one that I'm not going to say how I know, but I've heard on the grapevine that they're coming to Immutable, and I do not know if that means they're going to come off Cardano into ZKVM or if they're staying on both. We'll find out.
I may pick into this game some more because I'm just curious. Like, why are they in a motorcycle gang, and how did they get to there? And do they have mechanics? And they might have got me on this weird out of the box thinking.
Yeah, and you got to choose as well. So you got to choose which gang you're in. You don't get to play in both. So
it's clearly a gang.
It's going to be like a hyena or a coyote. Let's go and fight, and you'll be on the same team all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting one.
Yeah.
Outlaws Brawl. Interesting.
See how that turns out. I didn't even say their name, did I? Oh my gosh, we're talking about it. I didn't even say their name.
Outlaws Brawl. It's even hard to say. Hard to understand what they're going for. Hard to see them compete with the big boys in shooting in the world, but. These games, we said it before today, you just don't know which game. Pokemon Go, I've got no idea why that would ever took off. Right. Took off with people that never even played Pokemon in their life. So you just don't know. It could be just one of those things that no one sees coming. Hyenas vs coyotes. Who would have knew that it was the key ingredient?
Yeah, that'd be hilarious if it did take off. Coyotes versus hyenas. And speaking of versus, that's our next one up. Versus. Obviously, you are playing against people in this open world setting. I just looked at this briefly and I don't know. It just seems kind of. I don't want to be mean. It just didn't capture me when I first looked at it. I was just like, all right, they got a bunch of little different mini games, it looks like, in there. Did you get a chance to look in this one at all?
Yeah, so it looks like they're like a game that went dead after a while, a building. I might be wrong on that, but they have only got one tweet from May 2023. Maybe they deleted all their tweets. Maybe they're coming back from the dead. But January the 1st this year, they've pasted, maybe they've been building in stealth. I don't know. Lots of games built in stealth. But I went to their website. They will look like they're building on a chain called Concordium. Never heard of it in my life before. Whatever. Another DeFi chain trying to make games. There's some gameplay in there. So you look at the screenshots on there, they don't look that cool. It's a mobile game, obviously. Right. And it looks like pretty pixely, kind of getting out of that pixel realm into a bit more realism, but cartoony style. But there's some video as well I found, and it looks like, those images where people take from planes and it looks like a little miniature, like the world looks like miniature. Behind looks like Lego kind of thing. Uh-huh. It's kind of, there's some really cool graphics like that where they got the background looking like a bit like a Lego, and then in the front really high res kind of characters and stuff, like really high res but it just looks really cool. So if they pull that off, and that's what they've been building, and I think it's very unique. I've never seen anything like it in a game before. I don't know if you can find it or not, but it's might be worth y'all having a look after the show if you haven't seen that video.
Okay. No, I haven't seen it. I looked at the main page, and the characters that you're talking about kind of reminded me like I don't know if you know the have you ever played the Nintendo Wii and the profile characters you have to use? That's what it kind of reminded me of. I'm definitely gonna have to look more into this. But at first glance, it just didn't really capture me. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I was like, all right, just something about it. I don't know. It just didn't capture my attention, but maybe I'm overlooking it. We'll have to see how that goes, and hopefully it's not dead. Because if it's dead, then we're not gonna find out how good it can be.
Think of the name versus Metaverse.
Oh yeah, we've talked about this.
Who gave that the green light? Seriously, honestly, who gave versus? Who went? That sounds like a fantastic name. Let's call it Versus Metaverse. Maybe they've rebranded just to Versus now. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully. Some of their graphics aren't that cool, but I can't find it now. I can't find where the graphics is, but the video I saw it looked really cool. And if that's what they've been building, if that was just the alpha version that they've got before, and they've gone into silence, and they've been building in silence, in stealth again, and now they're coming up because they're already released it. It looks like that new thing I saw. It could be really, really cool. I'd have a look at it because it just that kind of really cool contrast in pixelated stuff with really high res stuff in the foreground. Really interesting. Let's see.
Yeah, this next
versus
one,
Metaverse.
Yeah, out of all these that we're talking about right here, this is the one that I was like, okay, what is this? And please do come to Immutable. Clash Heroes of Feralia Terra.
Feralia?
Do I get that wrong? I'm sorry.
Heroes of Feralia Terra.
Okay, I butchered that. My bad.
Maybe. Yeah. Who didn't?
So
seriously, mate.
The graphics on this one look pretty sick. It's a third-person shooter. You can either play single player, co-op. It's an action RPG. Again, you're playing as kind of like an animal. It's not a hyena motorcycle gang, but you're some form of feral warrior or beast, and you're trying to save your world from alien invaders, and the graphics on this and gameplay look pretty sick. Did you get a chance to see it at all?
Yeah, I got to. I have to. It doesn't look like it's going to be available in Australia. It's region locked. So I got the old VPN going so I could just see the page on Epic Games, and that's where the video I've seen, the Epic Games homepage. It's and it doesn't mention NFTs on that homepage. So very interesting what's going on here. We again, this is unannounced by both of these teams. They don't even have NFT mentioned on their homepage, on their trailer. They've got Steam and Epic Games, and we will see if they are really going to come to Immutable. But
What'd you think of the gameplay? I mean, I loved it. I was
to be
like,
honest,
oh.
yeah, like the graphics is Unreal Engine, but it doesn't feel like every other game. You know, that like it's like a real unique art style to. That's not just Lyra. You know, they made it's a mix of shooting and melee combat. So yeah, I didn't look into it too much, to be honest, with this game. I saw the graphics and went, oh, that looks really good. Yeah, I'm also not putting a lot of energy into researching the game because, as I said,
Yes.
This is rumors. But fairly certain that it's coming to Immutable, but it's just a rumor at the moment.
Cool. Very cool.
We'll see. When it gets announced officially, we'll go into a bit more detail, I guess.
All right, here's another one I'm likely gonna butcher. Hakoiri?
Yeah, I'm not even going to try, man. What's with calling names of games that makes it hard for us to state, but
yeah, they got they're going for the physical and digital. I've seen several projects do this. Some do it well, some not so much. I'm not really sure what the game style is gonna be. Do you know anything about this? I'm a little weak on this one.
You just see that pinned message on Twitter. They've got Immutable tagged. I saw them a couple of weeks ago, and I thought they were just a community. But then I've noticed just recently, I'll join their community, but I just looking from the distance at the moment, and it says they've got a gameplay trailer coming out. They've got a 17-second gameplay, and they said they've got a 2-minute one coming soon, and it looks pretty cool. Of course, my computer's crashed, so I can't describe it. My Twitter's crashed for some reason. But anyway, yeah, just another one. It's not officially announced by Immutable, but it is by them, by the sounds of it, by having Immutable. I've seen it on their Discord. They've said they're building on Immutable X. So let's see. They're minting.
Are they coming
31st.
from Solana? Looks like they might be coming from Solana. Possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah, they were on. Well, I mean, at least they did their mint over there on Magic Eden, it looks like, or OpenSea. So interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a lot of this. I did a quick skim on this one, like you said, or like you said earlier. I'm not gonna put a ton of research in this. We don't even know if they're on there yet, but I didn't see any gameplay, and all I know is the digital and physical aspect, and it can work if you do it right. You can lure in a section of people. So we'll have to see what they do going forward.
Yeah. Anyway. That's a lot of games to discuss again, wasn't it?
Yeah. And that's kind of, we had more games discussed that we're not even sure are on there yet, but we got to cover them because we want to be ahead of the curve. So we're going to, get away from the fun stuff for a minute. And boy, I know you're revved up for this one.
It's a new segment that we're going to do recurring, just because I'm an angry mother effer, and yeah, and there's always something to whinge about, isn't there? So I thought, why not just make it a permanent segment in the game,
okay.
in the show, where we just tell us what's pissing us off this week. And this week is the GameStop have just announced that they're closing the marketplace down as of the 2nd of February, based on regulations, uncertainty. It's just the same thing with a wallet. What a load of junk. That's not true. It's basically what it is came down to is they have 5 milestones on Immutable. And I don't know. I didn't look into Loopering, where with Immutable they had to have just to sign with them was 28 million tokens. When the tokens were worth $3 each, they got that.
Right.
So 60 something, 90 million. I can't even count. It's $85 million. I don't think they got that much for it when they sold them, but they sold it. dumped it on the market just straight away, just for saying they're going to sign with build in marketplace for Immutable. Then they had 2 more milestones that were like 3 million and 7 million, and then they have 2 more that are 7 million tokens. So they've got 14 million still to unlock because they've got the first 3 milestones done, and there's no recompense. There's no, you didn't meet your criteria. You got, I think it was $30 million or $40 million.
Wow.
They got for this, for what? A year and a half of the worst marketplace ever to be designed, ever. It was so bad. It was the worst marketplace to use by far. It was so unusable. But they just have a huge fan base that they will just go mad. We know Gale, we know that some of the people in our team are very big GameStop fans and not happy with with the marketplace. And now with this is just finish them for GameStop altogether. This has actually forced people away from GameStop. From some their loyal followers, this decision. But I understand it's Ryan Cohen. He's come in and he's gone, what is this garbage? This is not making us money. Let's get rid of it. Bang. Get down, make it lean, get profitable. They're now profitable again because of him. And there's no games that are with volume that make a marketplace worthwhile at the moment. Are they jumping out too early? I think so. What did you think about the GameStop decision?
I respect his decision to be a cutthroat CEO. Don't hate the player, hate the game, so to speak. But at the same time, this could have been so much better, and he could have really honed in on this up and coming market that, in my opinion, I think is eventually gets here and it takes over, and he could have laid some massive groundwork with a up and coming company that, in our opinion, is going to take over. And instead, it appears, maybe we're missing something, it appears he took let's take the money and boost our coffers at the expense of the Immutable community. Not exactly, it is at the expense of Immutable, but effectively any holders, he took money from the holders by doing what he did. So that's egg on the face for Immutable, unfortunately, unless there's like some crazy under the table psyops we just don't know about. And I don't know how, I'm interested to see how Robbie spins this and what comes out of it. And it's easy for me to say it because it's not my token value per se, but man, what would it be for Immutable to come out like, hey, we really wanted this to work, it didn't, so we're gonna burn however many we gave them, we're gonna burn that amount to give you guys back value since we messed up. But we'll see how that turns out.
Mate, there's already been the Twitter fallout, all the usual players insulting low blows in Immutable, and how they lost the bag to AVAX. There's an AVAX guy that loves to low-key insult Immutable whenever he can, and I'm pretty sure Ronin guys have, but I've got them all blocked and muted now by now, so I don't get to see what they say.
Yeah.
I didn't do that because my whole timeline was filled with Ronin stuff, and I'm just not interested. I wanted to enjoy using the Twitter, and I do again. So nice. I don't regret doing it. But let's get back to this subject. I haven't finished yet. I'm pissed off because the worst thing is it looks so bad for Immutable, even though probably the only loss is face. Yeah, like they've lost a bit of face on partnering with some organization that looks like they've milked them, stolen, got their bags and ran away with it.
Right.
Bare minimum effort. The next milestone, they had to do $1.5 billion worth of trading to get the tokens. Immutable's done 600 or 700 million total in the whole entire lifetime. So, yeah, and that's on all marketplaces, not just on one. So,
right.
It was miles and miles away from them hitting that fourth milestone. But player is, they advertised that, and that was announced prior, after Ryan joined, and I'm pretty sure he's looked at it. That's expensive. Building a marketplace, Jonah, what's his name again? That Jonah guy that thinks he knows everything about everything.
That guy, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He wrote, I could see this on the writing on the wall. He didn't know shit. A bricks and mortar company trying to go with high tech, difficult tech, or some stupid Mate, it's so easy to build a marketplace, man. Especially Immutable. It's API. You hit APIs, man. Like 95% of devs, you can hire a dev on Fiverr for a week and they can make a marketplace. It's that easy. You know, it's not that hard a tech to build a marketplace on crypto, honestly. Maybe the loopering side of it was a little bit more difficult than the Immutable side. It definitely would have been more, you need a little bit more skill. But it's still not a difficult thing. Player, but they have not announced that there's not building, is super high technical difficulty. That's building in live streaming. What they've got listed in Player is is pretty much Steam. What Steam's built over 20 years. With they've got streaming on there now, and that hasn't taken off. But it's a lot. It's a really hard tech to build and get it all working well, integrated together. So I don't think they're going to build Player either, because that would be at least a $50 million investment. I'd say maybe even 100.
Yeah.
So they've got $1 billion. They've got $1 billion in the bank, but it's a high risk. Why they're not building something like it, like a social hub for gaming like Steam, when they are GameStop and they're Blockbuster. They're sitting there selling games inside a shop. While Netflix is building their whole platform, why are you not competing with Steam and that, making an Epic Games and you've got the 50 million supporters that will follow you to your platform. So maybe they're going to build Player, and this is shutting down the marketplace now because it's just sucking money, because they're not making money on it now. They'd be draining money for all the server costs and stuff, and the maintenance costs and things like technical support, all the stuff that comes with hosting something like this. It'd be $50,000, well, probably $150,000-$200,000 a year just to hold it, and they're probably not doing that in volume yet. Anyway,
yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Blockbuster, because I actually replied to that Real Jonah Blake guy, and I used that. I didn't say exactly it was Blockbuster, but I said it was a quasi Blockbuster route that they're taking. And yeah, you're absolutely right. If you don't evolve, especially in the gaming space, there's so much competition and it's so saturated. If you don't evolve and come out with the next best, your chances to survive, in my opinion, go down quite drastically. And I really feel like they didn't put it in any effort. I think that they just sat back and said, hey, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll do this. Send us your volume so we can make some money. And that's what it appears to be.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
I'll jump to...
one last thing. You said you're waiting for Robbie's feet. I don't think we'll hear anything from Immutable. Too embarrassing. Just move along.
I hope not. I hope he... I think a stronger play, and this is just my opinion, I think a stronger play for him to come out and own it and be defiant about it, and maybe a little transparent. I got my fingers crossed that I keep saying it, that I think a Microsoft collab comes down the road, and this for me, my fingers crossed. I hope this is some leverage they could use to make that happen, because Microsoft owns a big chunk of GameStop. So, ready to hear what I'm mad about?
Yeah, what are you mad about?
Okay, I think you're gonna like this one. And I just moved my tab to see what... Oh, there it is. Okay. Yes, I am mad at this post. The best way to pump prices short term is to make a lot of promises. The best way to destroy your brand is not delivering on those promises. There's a guy named Derek Lau. I don't know if you know who that is. But he put this post out. And there's a way to handle failure. And we just talked about that with Robbie. This has got to be one of the... This guy, the way he left GOG, he took an L. He took a massive L. L for Lau, I just came up with that on the fly here. There could have been such a more graceful way for him to leave and just come out and own it, that what he said did not happen. He made all the promises in the world, said all these things, talked about tens of millions of players coming onto this game. And then he took a victory lap leaving. And just completely obtuse to what he had done or didn't care. I'm not sure which. And then he, months later, he's putting out posts like this. He's the epitome of this post. And I was just this guy, just shut up and go away. Because he needs to change his whole X account, because there's a whole bunch of people that are never going to let him forget what he did. So he's done. I mean, he might get taken on somewhere else, but there's going to be people that say to that community wherever he goes, hey, watch this guy. He likes to run his mouth and act like he knows everything, but not deliver. And that's what I'm pissed off about this week.
I can't believe I knew that as soon as you said it, went, wow, of course that was going to be it. Yeah, like I like Derek. He's just failed and just hasn't. Just typical current generation. They don't take responsibility for their failures. Kids these days, and he's got a big brain. I think he's got a big brain, and he's got it wrong. And I don't think he deliberately did what he did. I just think he thought he knew a lot more than other people, and he does. He's very smart, but he got this one wrong, and this is the one that he needed to get right. I'm talking about the GOG stuff. In regardless of what I feel that I've done it right out of GOG, so I'm not as, I like Derek. I don't hold it against him. I see it differently because I got way more than I put in, and yeah, I don't know.
I get it. I want to say it's okay to fail. Everybody fails. It's a part of life. That's how you grow. That's how you learn. But to take a victory lap, nothing happened. That was like, dude, you couldn't have done it. Thanks for the salt in the wound. Appreciate it. Nice job, buddy.
It was more, to me, it was more the game not getting delivered and them having to pivot. Like, that's the fail. More than what your community used to think about it being him failing them in terms of the ownership of the NFTs. I think I didn't think he did as bad there. I think he's just out of touch. But the biggest failure for me was the game didn't release. It's a brand new game starting from scratch, and with Clay having to inherit all these promises and try and fit that into the new game.
Right.
So anyway, good luck, Derek, if you're listening, mate. He's got another gig. He's at Eon Rift as an advisor, so I'm not sure if that's paid or not. But
really, I didn't see that.
Yeah, another Immutable game. Yeah.
Yep. So
moving on to the next section.
I kind of like that segment. Man. I'm glad we're gonna do that. I feel a little bit better now. I feel like I got some stuff off my chest. I feel like I've grown. Our three people in the audience are
it's like, what are they called? Shrinks.
Yeah, exactly. So this next one here, Subquery. Subquery. I'm having trouble pronouncing things today. Subquery Network. Yeah. Looks like some infrastructure collab for, just doing what needs to be done on the back end. It looks like they work with Ethereum, Base, build on Base partner just recently happened, of course. Polkadot, Cosmos, AVAX, Near Protocol. I know about them. So, and 125 more. So they kind of got their fingers in everything, it looks like.
Yeah, they're huge, and they're Australian ties as well, company. But it's all about infrastructure again, data accessibility and indexing, and just making sure the data's clean again. I guess they'd have special areas. I haven't spent too much time looking into it, but just another. I think it was just good to gloss over and say, look, Ma, we won another one. So yeah, this is the section we're talking about Immutable. Specific news, direct news, but the next one is, I think it's going to be a big one. $IMX next, IMX token next. So, what did you think about this one?
I think it's definitely needed. I don't quite understand it all yet. It looks like a new user interface, and I believe it's going to be tied to what the fee structure is with ZK EVM. I think I got my tokens now or something. So. Yeah, it looks pretty slick. I like the interface. What else do you get on it?
So it's more than just a new website, which a lot of people are thinking. It says it somewhere on one of the pages as well. I can't remember where. Did they take that off? Yeah, but there's going to be more. There was rumors that when those boxes came out a year ago, saying something grand's coming, and it was the token fees, the 20% fee for trading, transferring, for NFT transfer trading, and then the ZK EVM was announced, so the gas, 20% of the gas. But then there was 2 more boxes that never opened. The guesses from the community was a dex and trading fees,
Okay.
as well as governance. But I've got a little rumor, not a rumor, I've got a little inside. Someone that drops a little bit of beans for me every now and again, and I'm not giving anything away.
Right.
I'd never give anything away. I'm not supposed to, but apparently it's going. How do I say this without giving anything away? It's going to be better than those 2 things that I just said. That the rumors were, it's going to be better than those 2 things. So a dex, beast from a dex, and governance token, governance of the Immutable ecosystem. So it should come with the announcement of ZK EVM launching. It should come with
Nice.
Maybe it's checkout. Maybe it's
That's
fees
my
for
first
checkout.
thoughts. Yeah, that's my first thoughts right there. Is hey, maybe we're getting checkout, and we definitely need that dex exchanging is going to be huge when they get it, in my opinion.
Maybe it's Altar.
Oh, geez.
To do with Altar as well.
That'd be awesome. That would be
so
awesome. I should have
all
thought
I
of
know
that.
is that-
I should have thought of that.
Yeah. Every day, I just get more and more convinced that I've made the right decision on backing Immutable as the right place. Just every day, and also they just seem to just do everything right. A little bit more on that later.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing, just some small highlights now. Rave Racing. I just want to. Oh, it says race on Venom still. Oh, that's the wrong website. They've got a new website, and I'm on the wrong one. Yeah, that's the dev website. Let's go here.
They're
Rave
back
game.
again.
No, they've got. I was on the wrong website. So their old one, I actually had the old website. It had race on Venom. Their new website doesn't say that. It just says NFTs on cars. So it's if you click, there's no word of Venom anywhere. Unless you click Connect Wallet. Oh no, the wallet's now MetaMask as well. So that just yesterday it was Venom, and now it's MetaMask. So looks like it's Rave. I thought it was going to be multi-chain, and maybe one of those games that kind of went, let's try. We're about to do a token sale. Let's announce Immutable, and then hey, we're building Immutable. But by the way, we've got a token IDO happening tomorrow. So I thought that, and I thought wrong happily. So it looks like they might be exclusive on Immutable ZK EVM now, because there's no mention of Venom anywhere.
Nice.
Anymore on the website.
I hope so. We need a really good racing game, and it looks like it's got some potential.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. For you, your little baby, you were heavy into this game, mate. What the?
I don't know.
This is. What's happened, mate? It's come out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was stunned. I was happy. First I was stunned, and then I was happy because I know some people that are in it. My buddy Crypto King and Tomahawk and several others. I think Tonin was in this one too, and
Yeah.
it's a match 3 game. I liked it. I really did. There were some people I knew that said, "Oh, it's not that good compared to other match 3 games," and it was kind of my first match 3 game. But like for what it was and how early it was, I thought it was pretty good. And the concept was you have these NFT robots that have stats, and you verse the PvE ones that we got to play, and they talked about down the road that there could be PvP, and it was going to be on mobile, and they had a lot of good things going. And one of the best things about it back then, you could actually play it, and it was fun, and there was tournaments, and they've got a bubble token coming, or no, it was bubble, but it's going to convert to nuts. Pretty funny play on words with the robots, but nuts and bolts. And they just fell off the face of the earth, and everyone assumed they're dead. They rugged, but they're gone. They had an NFT sale. It did not go well. They sold some, but not very much. But they kept grinding, and now they're back and said, "Yeah, we're back, and cool things are coming." So yeah, Peanut Games, Bubble Bots.
I was surprised by that, man. No, they went. I was about to write the little ecosystem map. I was so close to taking them off, saying, I think these guys are dead. But the reason I never took it off is because they have a gold badge next to them, $1,000 a month to pay for that. $12,000 a year they spend on having that gold thingo that they never used for literally almost a year.
Right.
So the last couple of tweets they've done, 2 or 3 in the last couple of days since the 10th, and before that, May the 22nd. So 8 months ago. And they had the whole time they had that gold token, gold. What is it called? The Twitter handle that you're in an organization, not
Right.
just the blue one, the gold tick. So
More expensive than $11.
Yeah. So yeah, I played that game. I just can't get into match 3 games. They just bore me to tears. So I bought a bot. I think a little bubble bot. Did I? I don't even know. And I saw you guys get into it and play it and that, and I was like, that game's gone. I'm sure of it. But they're back and they've got their game ready to play and everything's going on. Looks legit. We'll see what happens.
It'd be hilarious if they were like, they became like one of Immutable's like top games after all this. But you know, that's a big leap there. We'll see. But yeah, I was very shocked and happy to see them back. So I wish them the biggest success. I actually talked to one of their founders on an interview a long time ago, and he was pretty nice. I liked him. I liked the community. It was just weird seeing them drop off and then come back. So yeah, hope the best works out for them.
Yeah. So just moving on to some fast news. There's Rave is been published by Exterio, so that's pretty. The games that launch on them have really good NFT sales, so we'll see if that continues with them. Wagme had a new card sell for 3K, biggest sale of a card.
Wow.
It's broken at the moment. Wagme's broken at the moment because of Passport. Passport's in 8 days of maintenance mode and saying that they said it was only on testnet that it'll break, but I think that must mean Wagme's using testnet's version of Passport because it's broken for me. I can't merge my tokens and they're drying up. What's happened? What they're going to do? This is a really good idea on Wagme. They're going to have seasons. And those seasons, you can collect the same card in each season, but they're not mergeable together. So you've got a limited amount of time to collect all the cards you can in a season to level them up to the highest level. And if you don't, by the time the next season comes around, the drops that drop are the new season drop, and they're not compatible. So for example, there's beta and there's pre-season. So I've got 20 cards, 10 of them are on beta and 10 of them they're all identical, and 10 of them are on pre-season. You cannot merge those two together, even though it's the exact same card, which is really smart. It's really, really smart if you think about it, because it means if I want to get the highest levels, I have to spend a bit of money to make them to the highest level. But if I don't, I can still enjoy the game like I did and not pay a cent. But right. I've been on the marketplace hunting for, say, for example, I had 4 of these dogs, and I literally need 1 more for the absolute top level, just 1 more. And so I had to go and buy off the marketplace that card to be able to merge it, because it makes me have 1 tier 2, and then I've got 4 tier 3, so 4 tier 2s. And so just like, you know what I mean? I just needed 1 more to have 125 of those cards, and then I can join them all together and make the ultimate level. And I can't do it because the passport's broken. So
oh, no.
At the moment, yeah. But it made me go to the marketplace, and I bought one for $1.33. Way too expensive for a little card. But the next one now is $10. So
wow.
If someone else has that same problem,
you're forced to if you want.
Yeah. If you want to I'd have to spend $10 to make that maximum level thing. So, mate, it's super smart idea to have, instead of just having non-ending like ability to collect and merge them. Because I was thinking, there's only 125 cards. This is going to saturate in no time. But then you find out it's seasons, it's game over. Really smart, man. Those guys at Wagme are pretty smart, man.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Yeah. I was wondering why I was like, man, why are their cards selling so high for? Because you just don't see that often. But yeah, hats off to them. Great strategy, making it a limited supply with the seasons there. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's some play tests. You can play. Space Nation Alpha 3 just finished. Really good game, that one. People are loving it. Sail Wars had closed beta applications. Rave Racing, you can play Rave Racing right now if you go and sign up. Smashverse is having an airdrop if you get involved in it now, the one we just talked about. And Second World, as I told you, you can play that. And Corby World, you can join as if you like FPSs, 1v1 FPSs with the pets, the guy we interviewed a couple episodes ago. You can become an ambassador. You got end of January to apply, and they're offering profit share for ambassadors.
I'm pretty sure I think I applied.
Yeah, we'll just send him a personal message, and say, "Hey, I haven't been accepted yet."
Yeah, I'll have to double check on that and see.
Yeah, and not just a token airdrop, actual profit share. So that's pretty interesting.
Wow. Yeah, that is. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Well, that's the end of my short news. There's not a lot this week.
Yeah, that was some pretty juicy stuff though, especially with the WAGME and the ambassador program with Corey World. So good stuff. Looks like Robbie did another interview with Spartans, and I briefly listened to it. We're not complaining here. It's just we stalk Robbie and the Immutable team, so we hear a lot of the same things over and over again. But you might have picked up some gold nuggets out of there that maybe I didn't get.
Well, it's just with both. I've stated it before that I think Robbie's a genius, kind of genius level kind of character. He's an Elon Musk style. Maybe not as smart as Elon Musk, but he's up there,
Mm-hmm.
And he was given hints on books and stuff, and he can read a book. And I would think this is bullshit if I didn't know. If my cousin couldn't do it, I've got a cousin that can read books that take me 3 weeks to read. He can read them in a night. But Robbie can read a book in like a big thick book in 3 to 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and also in Australia there's a thing called an ATR, which is like you get ranked from 1 to how many people do you at the end of your school. We have 12 years, so year 1 to year 12, and in year 12 you get ranked. Are you number 1 in the state? You're one. You get the 100 TER, and then ATR. It was TR when I was a kid. ATR now, and so you get ranked where you came in the state, or even in the country, maybe or the state. I'm not sure. I think it's the state. If you get below 30%, you get like a red dot, and you don't get a percentage. But so if you're above that, you get ranked. And he didn't. He said he played games up until year 11. At the end of most of the way through year 11, at that point he decided he better pull his finger out, started studying, and got 100 ATR, top of the state.
Wow.
Yeah, off 1 year of studying.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. I didn't know that, so that's amazing. Yeah, it makes sense though.
He didn't want to say it. Like the guy asked him like 3 times to say it, so he's like, he's trying to avoid it. He's go on, say it. So like, he's not sitting there gloating. This is not him just going, look at me, I'm great. It's just like, he got somehow this guy found out about that, and because they're the number 1 sponsor, they're the biggest investor, the Spartan Group. For Immutable, I'm pretty certain Spartan Group's the biggest investor in Immutable, or they're one of the biggest token holders, one of the 2. So like they'd have inside information like that, and so he's made him say that, and then Robbie is quite reluctant to say it, but yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't find that, because I've stalked him pretty hard over the years. So
yeah, it was quite interesting, wasn't it? Like that kind of validates that what I thought and what you think. You've said it as well, like you think he's a really smart guy, and you think it's something to do with family and things like that as well. But I just think that only gets you certain distance. That those open doors, you still got to then make the deal in the end. And
yeah, you got to put
people invest that kind of money in these kind of things with people that they trust and believe in, and I think that's why he's able to do that, because he's kind of you can see it when he speaks, quite a very intelligent speaker. So,
and I've read and I watch a lot of videos and stuff to try and improve myself with doing this stuff. They say reading books, it helps you speak better, and I'm putting the pieces together right now. If he can do that, and he's done it in the past, it correlates with your ability to put words together and speak clearly and efficiently, which I need to read some more books now. I've been telling myself that, but time, and now I'm thinking about it. It's like, yeah, I need to start reading some more books for sure.
Yeah, moving on now. So not immutable news. Sipher Odyssey just reached out to me and sent me a key to play their game. That's a little mobile shooter, kind of like Riftstorm, but I think it's probably one of the best games. It's on Polygon, but you need a master's degree in blockchain cryptography to understand how to get around there.
This is the one you were posting about, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like, I get it because I've been in crypto for a long time, but you're trying to get like a heap of people into this side of things. Like if they have to jump, it's just they're gonna look at it and go, what is that? It's too hard, and just leave, So
right.
I don't think they've got to log in with MetaMask. I don't think you can play the game with account abstraction. If they've built this amazing game and they're not going to make the effort to build it into like the ease of onboarding, like a passport-like solution or something similar, like maybe a magic wallet, but mate, it's what they're very D-Jenny style people like that have built this, but they've built such a good game. I just hope they don't get kneecapped themselves by doing that. But yeah, it's I think, oh my god, I'm just recording some of my private information on this Aether account, so there goes the video out the window.
That's fine, no big deal.
Yeah, did you see
put that out there? What's that?
Did you see this game?
No, I didn't look much into it. I seen your post. It's on my list of things to look at because, I wouldn't mind scoring an NFT. That sounds like fun. I'm always into doing that, and I usually am savvy enough to figure out the hoops to jump through. But no, dude, I got so many games to look at. I haven't even looked at it yet. But you liked it, huh?
No, I haven't played it yet. I just got literally the access tonight. After I wrote that message, they reached out to me and said, "Do you want to play?" I'm like, "Okay."
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, but it looks such. I guess I'm spoiled now. I'm already at the passport spoiled kind of level, and anything less than passport now is going to just piss me off. Or make me wary of investing in it because I know that it's not going to be able to reach a Web 2 audience if they're gonna log in with a button.
Right.
MetaMask,
no, I wouldn't call it spoiled. That's the way it should be. And that's what we should all expect. And Immutable's getting there. So, yeah, good stuff, man. I'm glad you found that. Thanks for posting it. I'm gonna definitely check it out. Huge news this week. This has been 10 years in the making. It started back with the Winklevoss twins applying for it and getting rejected, and it's over 10 years now that the Bitcoin ETF was finally approved through all the gnashing of teeth from the SEC here in America. Just absolutely insane that it took this long, but it's officially here. There's been all kinds of hype and drama about it. For those that don't know, an ETF, it puts everything in a nice bow, kind of like Immutable does with Passport, to where you don't have to worry about stuff. If you don't want to custodial your own crypto, hold it, have the seed phrase, go through all those hoops, you can hire an organization and they will basically act as a broker to buy whatever it is that you want and hold it for you. It makes it more official. You get some legal, regulatory clarity with it, and it just it puts a rubber stamp on it. For the biggest win of this is it puts a rubber stamp of like, hey, this stuff is real and we're doing stuff with it, and hopefully that helps get more and more people into this.
Sorry, you finished now?
Sorry.
Can we carry on? No. I'm sure it's interesting to most people, but I just couldn't give a shit, to be honest with you. It's like, I don't own any Bitcoin, never going to own any Bitcoin. You can go to $5 billion and I don't care. I'm here to play games. That's it. Sorry, boys and girls, if you don't like that, then, well, I'm not saying you can't enjoy it, but I'm just, personally, I just don't care about the money side of things. I just want to have fun playing games and own my stuff, and I'll make enough money out of Immutable or I won't. That's it.
Nice. Yep.
Out of IMX token, clarify that, out of IMX token.
Right.
I've got tokens elsewhere, but I don't believe in them, so we'll see what happens.
Hey, to each their own, brother. It's the approval, even if you don't own Bitcoin, the approval is good for the overall space. So while it might not be specifically for games, it does help. So it's a positive win. Yeah,
and it kind of contradicts the exact same day or same week of GameStop saying uncertain regularly. It's been more certain in America now than ever after this ETF thing. That's one thing I do understand. That's one. So kind of like, sorry, the ETF just got approved. The regulatory uncertainty exam. You should have used some other stupid excuse.
Right.
We made our money and we just want to get out now. That's what they should have wrote. Anyway, final thought of the week. We're going to add another section. We had 2 new sections to the pod, mate.
Right.
The whinge, and then the final thought, which will be more positive to end the episode on. So I'll go first because I'll give you time to because you haven't told me what yours is, so you might be still winging it and got to think about what it is. So I'll give you more time.
All right. Sounds good. I can always use more time.
So I just want to say that working with you is like a pleasure. I just enjoy it so much, and I just do this for fun, and because I'm doing it for fun, it's becoming a passion, putting more energy into it, and it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like the best part of my day is getting to sit here and have a chat with you, do research for an hour before, and then have a chat with you and talk to our audience about, let them know what we know about all the work we've done. And we're starting to see, the numbers go up of people interested in what we're producing, more content. We've got 2 new members in the squad helping us with content, adding spaces to the content. You're pumping out awesome content, and we're getting alpha information at a faster, rapid rate than we ever have. So it just feels like the snowball of Gamers Galaxie is happening right now, this start of this year. So just wanted to say thank you to everyone that supports us and listens to us and consumes our content. We really appreciate you and your feedback, and if you subscribe and like and all that stuff, it helps us. So if you want to help us do that stuff, what you got to say, bud?
Awesome. Yeah, I'd like to reiterate that if you guys want to help us out, your finger clicks are absolutely vital for us, whether it's a like, comments for sure. If you have the time and you can let it play out, whatever we're doing, that helps us out so much with the algorithm. That's how we get better. That's how we get more alpha from these studios to give to you. So we appreciate your finger clicks, and we hope that it keeps coming. As far as my final thoughts, I've had this final thought for a long time, and if you would have asked me 10 years ago if I would be sitting here in front of a microphone talking to an Australian that I never met before for many months over and over again about games that are tied to cryptocurrency, I would have said, what? Holy cow. And I would have thrown everything I had money-wise into the space back then in 2013 because I knew this was something. I knew it was something. I didn't know how it would evolve. I just knew it was something, and I should have followed my convictions harder. So when you got something, you got to keep at it. I'm not giving out financial advice or anything like that. This could be for anything, and even when it's bad or a bear market or whatever it is, things not going your way, things not lining up, and you're frustrated, just keep moving forward because you never know where you're going to end up. And by moving forward, you find out. And if you don't move forward and take those steps, you won't find out. So my final thoughts for today is I can't believe how far this space has come in 10 years, and I would not have expected to be like this. And I can't wait to see what more comes down the road in the next 10 years. And I do appreciate you very much. Those were some kind words. The Gamer Galaxie crew is definitely growing, and it's along the same premise of what I just said about 10 years ago where I am now. We've only been doing this a couple months, and we're gaining some momentum, and we just got to keep taking those steps forward. And that's my final thoughts for today.
What a beautiful thoughts to end our pod for the day, night, wherever you are. Thanks for listening, and I guess we'll see you in a week's time with Looperlands.
Yep. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye now.